Hello, welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be doing my July reading wrap up. I'll be showing you all the books I read in the month of July and what I thought of them, what I rated them. But before we jump right on into this video, I just wanted to give a little disclaimer and say, ignore the microphone. My camera audio is not the greatest, and I'm hoping that this can make it a little bit better. I don't know. And second of all, I just wanted to say, I know that a lot of people in the book community read way more books than I do in a month, and that's perfectly fine. You know, the important thing is that we're reading. That's the most important part. And yeah, so in the month of July, I read a total of 3.5 books, not a full 4, but 3.5, because I read these 3 books, and then on the last day of July got halfway through this book. So, you know, can't call it a full 4 because we're only halfway through. The first book that I read in the month of July was Wildfire by Hannah Grace. For some reason, whenever I see this book title, I always want to call it Wildflower. I don't know where I get that from, but it's Wildfire. And I rated this book a 4 out of 5 stars. It wasn't a full 5-star because I love Hannah Grace's books. They're very light, easy, fluffy little romance reads, but they're nothing spectacular. Like, the writing is good, but it's not amazing, you know? So it's not a full 5-star. And also, I love the characters in this book, but I found myself not craving them after like you would if it was a 5-star read. So for context, this is the second book in the Maple Hills series. The first book is Icebreaker, and I know that book gets a lot of hate for being very spicy, and I agree, it is. It is a very spicy book. It was a lot. But the characters are also really cute, and I do like Hannah Grace's writing style. So I will probably be picking up the third book in the Maple Hills series. So basically this book follows our 2 main characters, Aurora and Russ, I believe it is. Yes, Aurora and Russ. I don't know why. There's so many different, like, each book follows like different characters, and I have trouble remembering them because they're not similar, but you know, they're all like, all the main characters in the books are from the same friend group. So that's why I kind of get them mixed up. So each book basically follows a different one of the guys from the friend group. They all play hockey. So this book takes place, it starts actually, and this is not a spoiler, there will be no spoilers in this video, but it starts at actually a party that Russ is having. Not necessarily that he's having, but it's at his house that he shares with his friends. And Aurora and Russ end up actually having a one-night stand. They hook up and then think that they're never going to see each other again, but it just so happens that they are both working at the same summer camp for the summer, and they bump into each other there, and pretty much it's like kind of forced proximity romance, where they're kind of forced to work through their embarrassing moment and trauma, and you know, we just follow them and their relationship that develops and blossoms from that. I will say though that both Russ and Aurora, both of our main characters, they do have a decent amount of family trauma and drama actually. So I would definitely look up trigger warnings on that if you think that that's something that could be triggering for you. But definitely wasn't anything super gut-wrenching or hard to read about. Just definitely could be a difficult topic for some. So overall, I really did like this book. I very much so enjoyed it. It was a total 4 out of 5 stars for me. I read this book quite quickly as well, which is always something I love about her books, is because the writing style isn't like really complex or anything. I find I can absolutely devour these books. Like, when I know I need like a quick little easy read, Hannah Grace is my girl. Her romance books do it for me every time. All right, now the next book that I read in the month of July was Summer in the City by Aster. I believe that's how you say their last name. First of all, before I say anything about actually how this book was, can we just take a minute to appreciate this book in all its glory? These sprayed edges are amazing. I'm sorry, are you kidding? And without the dust jacket, it's even cuter. Like, are you joking? and look at the inside. It's literally a map of New York. And a lot of these places in the map are places that the main characters go in the book, which I loved. So I rated this book a 3 out of 5 stars. Now, my reason for my rating, this does not mean it was a bad book by any means. I still love the book. My base rating to recommend a book for someone is like 2 stars. It doesn't mean that I don't think it's a good book. It just means I didn't 100% love it, and I'll tell you why. First of all, I think we could have made the book a little bit longer. I did enjoy a quick read because sometimes we need like a quick little refresh book. But I found, so I'll give you context of what this book is about. So basically, our female main character is Elle, and our male main character is Parker. Parker is he's a billionaire, basically, to put it bluntly. And actually, similar to the other book I read, we first start out the book by them meeting in a nightclub and kind of having a same kind of situation, like hook up but not really. And then they never see each other again, and they, kind of don't really like each other. They meet again by chance because Ellie is apartment sitting for her sister in New York City, so she's forced to go back to New York years later, and Parker is her neighbor. So that's how they end up meeting, and then they end up having kind of like fake dating situation and falling in love together and rediscovering the city and falling in love with the city as well. So that was really nice. But something about that, the female main characters, right, Elle, I found her very difficult. She was a very, very difficult character and hard to like because every single thing Parker was doing, she would have something to say about it negative. She would get mad at him. It was like she was just always attacking him in pretty much every single scenario, even if what he was doing truly, like from his heart, was nice and there was no malintent. She made it that way, and she would like twist everything he was doing to like be mean, even though it wasn't. And I just didn't like that. Now, I understand where that comes from because of her past trauma that you will find out in the book, but I just didn't like that, and I found it very, very difficult to like her as a character because of that. And it's kind of hard to read a book and like the book fully if you don't like one of the main characters. Anyways, but I really liked their story. I thought it was really cute, and I absolutely loved that it was set in New York City because I'm going actually at the end of August, so it's really coming up soon now, and I needed a atmospheric read, something to get me in the mood, get me really excited for my trip, and this definitely did that for me. But I just didn't love our female main character at all. But I thought it was really, really cute. So 3 out of 5 stars. Now, the third book that I read in the month of July and completed in the month of July was Every Summer After by Carley Fortune. Now, I really enjoyed this book. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, which is pretty high. Again, it didn't give me all the 5-star feelings, so I couldn't rate it a 5-star, but it was really close. Let me tell you that. It was really close. And there's only one reason that I knocked it down from being a 5-star, and it was because Carley Fortune made it so there was this big secret throughout this whole book that she didn't tell us until the last 50 pages of the book. And if she would have just told us, we could have went the whole book just like conflict resolution and figuring out this big thing. And when the secret was finally revealed, sure, it was big, but it wasn't that big to build it up for the entire book. And it kind of annoyed me because I just wanted to know so badly what the secret was, and it kind of took me a little bit out of the plot because of how much I would just like wanted to figure out the secret. And in probably the first 50 to 100 pages, I already kind of figured out what the secret was. At least I had a hunch that I thought it was, and I was right, and I figured it out in the last 50 pages. So I didn't really like that about the book, but everything else I loved. This book is following our main character, our female main character, Percy, and our male main character, Sam. I thought they were really cute. We follow the timeline of past and present. So we get their point of view from when they were teenagers to now when they're adults and meeting again, kind of. This, I think it's marketed as like second chance romance, which I would agree with. And it is set in Barry's Bay, which I loved because I'm from Canada. I have a cottage, And I just felt like I could really be in this setting of this book because I've experienced a lot of the things that they were talking about, or the scenery, at least I've been there, you know. So I could really fully immerse myself in this book. And I kind of had a weird experience while reading this because as a Canadian, I realized how few books I've actually read that are set in Canada and speak about Canadian things that are just part of the normal Canadian experience, which was crazy because it made me realize I need to pick up more books that are set in Canada and are written by Canadian authors because this was great. This was a lovely experience. And I think that is what also made me like this book so much, is it kind of gave me a little bit of nostalgia to also being a kid and being at my cottage and just the lovely scenery and setting of that. Now, as far as it goes for saying anything else about this book, I don't really want to delve too much into what actually happens or what it's about, because anything that I will say about it, I feel like might spoil it. So I'm just going to leave it at that. That it's second chance and we're following the timeline of past and present, and that it's cottagey and summery and lovely. The scenery was just amazing. I highly enjoyed it. And I thought Percy and Sam's love story was really, really cute and endearing. I think that they were both very complex characters and they had a lot of layers. And I enjoyed that as well, figuring out how they were as their own individuals. Anyways, so yeah, 4 out of 5 stars from me. Love this book. So close to being a 5 stars, but not quite. Now, the fourth, but not fully fourth because I didn't finish it in time, but fourth book that I read in July is Time of Your Life by Jessa Hastings. This book was a new release, I believe, towards the end of the month. I actually can't remember. I think it was, which is why I couldn't finish it in time. And also the end of my month got really busy, but I am so far really, really enjoying this book. Like I said, I'm only about halfway through, so I can't say much yet, but I will say it is giving me the vibes of Magnolia Parks, and that is one of my all-time favorite series. And I love Jessa Hastings' writing style. I read her most recent book before this that she just published, which was Conditions of Will, and I love that book as well. And it was nothing like anything she's written before, in my opinion. It was not like Magnolia Parks or Daisy Hates whatsoever. But this book, on the other hand, is kind of set in the same setting as Magnolia Parks, Daisy Hates world, and I love it. I'm really loving it so far. The two main characters, the guy I'm finding a little bit hard to like, but I love the girl. I will say that. Also, something else I really like about this book, and I'm finding very unique, is that I have yet to experience in any books I've ever read, is she has, so basically her characters' names are very unique. So she has like a pronunciation guide for the names of the main characters, as well as there's lots of words that she uses that are, you know, not usual words you would hear in everyday life. So she gives you the meaning of all those words, which I really appreciate, because there has been some things in this book that I'm reading and I have no idea what she's talking about, and I'll have to go back and figure it out. It's mainly the guy, the male main character. A lot of things he says and the way he speaks in this book, like actually the way she's written it, is like exactly how he would say it in person. And I love that because it's making me feel like I'm there with them even more. So if I'm pronouncing this right, based on how she has it broken up phonetically in the book, our two main characters, our female main character's name is Isolde Fanshawe, and our our male main character's name is Joa Harrigan, I believe. Those are their names. And that is why I didn't say them while I was saying my review, because I will butcher them. And even when I'm reading it and I can hear their names in my head, I even butcher it in my like I can't. Anyways, but I'm really liking this so far. Stay tuned for what I end up writing this and my full review once I finish this book. This will probably be in my August wrap up. Maybe you'll get it a little sooner, but probably you're gonna have to wait till the end of August for this book. But yeah, that's everything I read in the month of July. So I hope you enjoyed my reading wrap up for the month of July. Again, these are all the books I read. I hope you really enjoyed as much as I did filming this video. I found it really, really fun and a good little debrief so that I can remember all the characters and settings that I read this month. Thank you again. I will see you in the next one. Bye.